Alright guys, today's video is going to be a little different than what you're used to. Normally we try to do something or accomplish something in our videos, but today we're just going to talk about our plans for the 2022 race season. Now before I start on that, I just wanted to stop and say thanks to everybody that's been following the YouTube channel. When I got my start in the hot rod scene, I was always interested in EFI. Naturally that led me to want to do an LS engine, and what really inspired us to get into the LS stuff was a bunch of hot rod articles that were written by the one and only Richard Holdner. As you guys know, we have been collaborating with Richard Holdner quite a bit and helping him out with his 4200 efforts, but it's been very cool to take one of the people that inspired you to get into something and now start to teach them something. Recently, it happened again. The reason that I got into 6-cylinders was because I had a 250 cubic inch inline 6 in my Nova. When we got the car, my uncle also gave me this book with the car. It's the Chevrolet inline 6-cylinder power manual, written by Leo Santucci. Now, this book details a whole bunch of speed secrets and tips and tricks having to do with the older inline 6s, and I've read it cover to cover quite a few times, and I even bought the second edition of the book where you can see Leo Santucci's Studebaker featured on the cover. Recently I found out that the infamous Nova Station Wagon that participated on Drag Week that a lot of people have been inspired by, well, the power plant from that Nova now resides in Leo Santucci's 53 Studebaker. Well, come to find out that Leo actually watches the YouTube channel. And shortly thereafter, after talking a whole bunch with George, he actually bought parts from us. Now another one of the people I took inspiration from, we are now helping out to make their cars faster. So I just wanted to stop and say thanks to everybody for subscribing and following the YouTube channel. I don't think any of that would have happened if it wasn't for everybody watching. So thank you. Alright, on to the videos. So I kind of want to just cover what is happening with all of the projects and what our plans are for the year. Right off the bat, this is my 63 Studebaker Lark. It was my first car. It has a 2004 Vortec 4200, a Turbo 400, and it was the car that we kind of pioneered the 4200 in, at least for us. The car has been a rolling science experiment for quite a few years, and it probably will continue to be that. In fact, this year I would like to experiment with an electronic brake booster, and I want to do something a little funny with that, which you're going to see in future episodes. So we'll probably get this car out a few times this year. We'll see what happens. Probably take it to some car shows, who knows. So stay tuned for that. Next up is my dad's 1983 Ford Fairmont Futura. As many of you may know, we signed up for the Midwest Drags, which start in Ohio. This will be our first time doing this event, and I'm very much looking forward to it. It is an event that is very similar to Drag Week, and that's coming up in June. The plan is to take this car and my Fairmont Station Wagon, which you guys have been seeing quite a few videos on lately. When you guys last saw this car, it made 824 wheel horsepower with a stock 2008 Vortec 4200 and some Schneider Racing reground cams and springs. The setup on the car is actually going to be changing a little bit. We're going to put a 2002 engine into it and basically keep everything else the same. We plan to put this back together very soon. And in fact, I would like to announce that we are planning to have a live stream on Sunday, March the 27th at 10 a.m. And the plan is to get this thing all back together and fired up. Next up is my 1957 Chevrolet. As you can see, it is currently buried underneath of a pile of junk, but the plans are to get to this car this year. In fact, if all goes well, the plan is to have it ready for Sick Week 2023. And the last time you guys saw it, I mentioned that I hadn't really decided what engine I wanted to put in the car. I said that I was leaning towards a V8, but recently I have had a change of heart. As you guys know, we have done a DLS swap on 2 of my cars now, and I figured rather than putting a V8 in the car only to just pull it out and put a 6-cylinder in it, I would skip a step and just install a Vortec 4200 in it right off the bat. That's right. We're putting a 4200 into my dream car. The reason that I was hesitant to do this when I first introduced the car was because I was worried that the 4200 would not make enough power to meet my goals. As you guys know, I want to put a pretty serious roll cage into this car. It will likely be a 750 or a 6.0 cert roll cage. So the goal is obviously to go pretty fast. Obviously these things aren't the most aerodynamic things, and getting it super light is going to be pretty hard, especially because I want to build it for the Super Street category in drag week. Therefore, the engine needs to make a pretty substantial amount of power. With the recent success that we have had with the Vortec 4200 on my dad's Futura, I am a lot more confident that we can make the type of power that this thing needs to go the times that I want it to. Therefore, we're putting my dream engine in my dream car, and it's going to have a big nasty turbo, and we're going to try and make some big power. Next up, we have our 1980 Pontiac Sunbird. This is the car that we most recently took to the Grassroots Motorsports Challenge. The brief overview on the car is we bought the car for $300 with a roll bar in the car, essentially as a roller for $300. We completed the cage and made it certified for 850 quarter miles. We installed a aluminum 5.3 with some truck heads, a Trailblazer SS intake, an S480 turbo, a set of up and forward headers, and took a little bit of weight off of it. It has a Transbrake Turbo 400 and a micro squirt engine management system. It makes just over 700 horsepower with no intercooler. And we also tried methanol injection on this car. The plans for the future are to probably rework the methanol injection. Overall, it's a pretty basic setup. The last time you guys saw this, it pulled a pretty large wheel stand, came down, crushed the oil filter, and broke the oil pan. We have fixed that, and we're ready to go again for the 2022 race season. The goals for the car, as they were before, are to get it into the 8s. As it is, the car is still under the budget limit for the challenge, so going 8s for under $4,000 would be pretty impressive. Stay tuned for that. Next up is my dad's 1954 Studebaker. You guys have seen videos on this recently, but to give you the highlights, this is my dad's old land speed car. He has set, I think, like 17 land speed records with this car. We recently reinstalled the engine that set all of those records, and we're slowly converting the thing to a drag car. The goal is to make it into a car that my dad wants to bracket race. So we need the car to be very consistent. Recently we installed windows on the car. We're slowly getting everything plumbed up. My dad just put an exhaust on it, and also it does this. We may try to get this out a few times for some nostalgia races or some Mandra bracket races, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Last up for today's video is my 1980 Ford Fairmont Station Wagon. You guys have been seeing quite a few videos on this lately. As you know, the goals are to take this on to Midwest drags. As many of you know, Fairmonts are Fox body platforms, so this car has basically every Fox body drag related upgrade done to it. Subframe connectors, reinforced torque boxes, tubular rear control arms, tubular K-member and A-arms, adjustable caster camber plates, adjustable shocks all the way around. Currently it has a 2006 Vortec 4200 in it with a S480 turbo, a homemade intake and exhaust manifold. Last time that it was on the dyno, it made 713 horsepower to the wheels. And we've been just gradually getting this car more and more ready for a drag and drive style event. I'm very much looking forward to racing this car in the 2022 season. I'd like to start dialing the car in to shoot for a certain ET. We may actually try to get into a class at Yellow Bullet, but we'll see what happens. So stay tuned for future updates on this car. There's also a certain green car in the background that we've begun to start formulating plans on how to fix. There's also a few other secret projects that are floating around, which you're going to see very soon, and I think you will be very excited about. So make sure you guys stay tuned, make sure you like, comment, and also you should consider tuning in to our live stream, which is happening on Sunday, March 27th at 10 a.m. But until then, I need to get some stuff ready for that actually. So we'll see you in the next one.